Recently, my brothers and sisters, I was taken back by a video that I saw being featured on the Black Diaspora Network. There was a black woman who had been in the food services industry for over 20 years. She bought a truck, a food truck, where she had saved $25,000 to purchase it. Unfortunately, you know, uh, she has made the decision that it is time for her to sell the truck, and for reasons that she did not express. But it was heartbreaking to hear what she had experienced when she was selling her truck. A Latino man from another country uh, saw the truck for sale and came to her with the paperwork to purchase the truck. He had gotten a loan without collateral just by virtue of the fact that there were provisions that made it possible for him to be able to get a loan. She recalled when she tried to get a loan in a similar fashion over 20 years ago. She was informed by the banks that she didn't have collateral, she didn't have what was needed to get the loan. Her heart was broken. She appealed um, to the entire nation that this was unfair and that this should not have happened. She appealed to our vice president to do something about it. But for 400 years in this nation, we have seen the appeals of African Americans who have not received justice in politics, justice in fair housing, justice in the courts, justice when it comes to being able to have good education in our schools. We've not seen where we've been able to get justice economically. We can't even get loans in the same way that others have come here. Foreigners have come all around the world to America and started out higher than we could. And we continue to lag behind, not because we don't have entrepreneurs, but there is no collective will on the part of the Democrats or the Republicans to demand that we are treated with the same fairness. Well, I have started a grassroots um, movement to try to create a political party designed to be supportive of our needs as people of faith, but also people of color. I wrote this in response to all the social ills that I continue to see done to us and how we are continuing to be ignored, but yet our vote is solicited by both parties. The name of this new party, and I'm hoping that you will spread this video to as many as you can, is called the Democratic Republican Labor Party, in short, the DRLP. It has 7 planks. The first is social reform, social justice. The third is civil rights. Fourth, pro labor. Fifth, pro life. Sixth, pro nature. And the last pillar is called the pillar of freedom. Under plank one, social reform, it is believed that all people are entitled to social reforms that benefit them in their communities. Two, it is believed that all people are entitled to social reforms that should be progressive, culturally amenable, and laws acceptable to people in a community and considered of changes in cultural paradigms over time. Number three, there's a belief that social reforms should raise awareness about the social issues of the times in which people live. 4. It is the belief that social reform should advocate for people who feel disenfranchised and marginalized due to a lack of political representation. 5. It is the belief that social reform should mobilize political participation and address the social problems of people who do not have adequate representation because of their socioeconomic status and standing, mental issue, criminal history, and disability. Number 6, it is believed that social reform should create advocacy groups to promote justice for groups disenfranchised due to social status, standing, group affiliation, and ethnic origins. Plank 2, social justice. It is a belief that social justice should advocate for fairness and in the treatment of all people. Number 2 is to believe that social justice should advocate for fairness in the distribution of economic resources for all people, regardless of race, creed, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and disability. Number 3, it is the belief that all people should have access to engage in political process in the nation without fear of reprisals. Number 4, it is the belief that no person should be deprived of the right of human services provided by the nation, and that after they have paid their debt to society after committing a crime, they should be entitled to participate in those rights. Number 5, it is the belief that no person should be deprived of the opportunity to live in any community where they can afford to live, and they should be able to do so without fear of reprisals. Number 6, it is a belief that all children are entitled to the same education, regardless of race, creed, culture, social, economic standing or status or ethnicity. Plank 3, civil rights. It is a belief that the Constitution protects and guarantees the rights of all people against discrimination, harassment, abuse, and entitles them to fair treatment in their schools, their workplace, housing, and in all public gatherings without fear of reprisals. Number 2, it is a belief that the Constitution protects and guarantees the right of all people by ensuring certain inalienable rights: the right to freedom of religion, the right to freedom of speech, the right to freedom of the press, the right to exercise a vote, a right to a fair trial, a right to privacy, a right to protection in their communities from unlawful discrimination. Number 4, Pillar 4, pro-labor. It's the belief that all workers can enter into a contractual agreement for their services as individuals and as part of a union. Number 2, it is the belief that all laborers are entitled to a living wage, not based on status, race, ethnicity, or perceived importance within an organization. Number 3, it is the belief that God created all human beings with equal standing before Him, and that all human beings should be treated in the workforce according to the Golden Rule. Number 4, it is the belief that pro-labor organizations should represent all its members fairly to accomplish the goals of securing a living wage. Number 5, it is the belief that a living wage allows individuals and their families to live in communities similar to their employers. Number 6, is the belief that all workers should be considered for advancement based on fair, holistic evaluations that consider ethical engagement in public and personal relationships, from direct line supervisors, peer employees, ownership, and designated community representatives chosen by the individual and employer. Number 7 is the belief that all people are entitled to a second chance and should not be discriminated against after a criminal conviction when they seek employment, provided that there are no laws or restrictions that prohibit them from working for an employer in that industry. Plank number 5, pro-life. It is believed that all life is sacred to God and man. Number two, it is believed that an unborn child has a right to life regardless of the circumstances of their conceptualization. Number three, it is the belief that all unborn children, before their lives are jeopardized, and their mothers should be evaluated by a healthcare professional who should first consider how to save both the life of the mother and the unborn child. Second, and after they have exhausted all options to do so, bring a petition to the Hospital Review Board on Ethics, which should assist them by informing them of the laws of the land, the laws of their Christian faith, or of their particular faith, and take into consideration the concerns of the individual and their family. Number four, it is believed that all life is sacred, and any person, either in a mob or as an individual acting alone, who murders another person, contributes to the murder of another person, provides assistance to a person who murders another person, convinces a person to murder another person regardless of mental defect, or is considered a child at the time they engage in a murder of another person, will forfeit their life based on the laws of the state in which they reside, also based on the sacred laws of God and society. Plank number 6, pro nature. It is the belief that the earth is sacred trust and should be respected as the home of all human beings. Number 2, it is the belief that air, water, food, and shelter are freely provided men by God and are necessary for the survival of all human beings. Number 3, it is a belief that God gives air, water, food, and shelter, and it should not be deprived by any person because of discrimination due to a lack of affordability. Number 4, it is the belief that the Earth's ability to maintain stasis in producing air, water, food, and shelter should be protected against pollution of every kind. Number 5, it is the belief that any person, government, or industry that jeopardizes the Earth's ability to produce air, water, food, and shelter should be penalized financially until they end the practice. Number 6, it is the belief that any person, government, or industry that disregards the sacred nature of air, water, food, and shelter, causing and leading to the death of human beings, will be subject to the sacred laws of murder and will under the condition of the laws of the state be prosecuted. Number 7, it is the belief that any person profiting from the earth who disregards the rights of all human beings to air, water, food, and shelter, if by chance they cause accidentally the death of others, will forfeit their right to engage in that industry. Pillar number 7, the pillar of freedom. It is a belief that all men are created equal and entitled to fair treatment in every aspect of a society and a world. Number 2, it is a belief that no man is endowed with a manifest right to enslave another man because of the color of his skin. Number 3, it is the belief that men should always make right any wrongs done by their ancestors. Number 4, it is the belief that no person participating in this party shall support or engage in any form of governmental misconduct that affects another human being's right to seek grievance or justice against any organization or institution that provides services for them regardless of their affiliation as public, professional, business, international, national, or quasi-government entities when they discriminate against the fair distribution of the nation's resources. Number 5, it is the belief that all men are entitled to bring a grievance of wrongdoing against the world's nations for past, present, or future wrongdoings, because the laws of man are always subordinate to the laws of God. It is my hope that those of you who have heard my appeal will use it as the foundation for starting a new political party that will stand up for what is right in every generation of man. We need a party that will do what is right and will stand for labor, will stand for people, will not give in to PACs, refuse donation for PACs, support people making less than $100,000 a year, support people and make sure that taxes are paid fairly by all of America's citizens. We need a party that treats everybody equally under the law of the land. But we go to war. We need a party that says that a rich man's life is not more sacred than a poor man's life. Or a political person cannot get out of serving because they've got the right connections. You see, this party, the Democratic, Republican, Labor Party, is a party that is run by people, for the people, for ensuring that our rights are protected against those who control the means of production, those who would use their education to trick us, lie to us, deceive us. We love this democracy that we have built. And we love God for his goodness and his blessings for allowing us to be at this place at this time. We have a history of wrongs that need to be right. We cannot continue to reward the wicked and expect God to bless us. It is time for this great nation to mount up a grassroots movement that eliminates statutes of limitation against the evils and wrongs that have been done. And I believe this political party, this grassroots movement, can be the beginning of making a difference. Thank you. And please subscribe to this particular video. I seldom ever ask you to do it, but subscribe to it. Send it to as many people as you can. And at some point, it'll get to the right person. And we'll get together. And we'll remember this young lady. And we will remember all the people who did not get justice. Because there is no justice for any man if there is not salvation for all men. Thank you.